Action.
What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here, and so today's video, I got a special treat for you. We're going to be talking student rentals with Dan Warren. And so you guys that know my backstory, that's how I originally got started in real estate investing, was by buying student rentals in London, Ontario, near Fanshawe College. Same thing goes with Dan. He's built up a massive portfolio of student rentals, specific properties by Fanshawe College. I think he's up to 11 or 12 now. We actually talk about it in separate videos, so you guys will definitely want to check that out. But in today's video, we discuss the exact neighborhoods, the exact streets we're buying our rental properties on, why we're buying them there, and kind of what you need to focus on when you're buying student rentals in London, Ontario. But I think this applies to almost any market. In particular, you'll notice a couple trends between what both Dan and myself are doing with our student rentals. We're buying walking distance, we're buying newer properties with large bedrooms. Those are a common theme with both of our practices for investing in student rentals. So I think there's maybe a reason for that. Anyways, enough of me rambling on. Let's jump into the video. If you guys are enjoying these videos, smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And yeah, let's jump into it. Hey guys, Matt McKeever here with my good buddy Dan Warren. And so we decided let's talk to you guys today about a subject matter we know a fair bit about, Fanshawe student rentals. So I got into the student rental game in 2010. I bought my very first student rental property by Fanshawe. I'm not sure, Dan, when did you buy your first?
2012.
2012, okay.
After March.
After March. And so if you guys don't know, actually I bought my third one right before March of 2012, which was when the St. Patrick's Day riots happened in Fanshawe College.
What started off with several house parties ended with this. Copious amounts of booze, hundreds packed in a small area, and nice weather, a recipe for disaster.
She's got hit in the face with a bottle.
A mob took over Fleming Drive, and the fuse was lit on what would be one of the city's worst riots.
And yeah, we literally, when I bought that property in March, it was on Fleming Drive. It was about 6 houses down from like the epicenter of the riots. And we probably lost like $20,000 on paper for a very short period of time because of those riots.
Well, that's a very generous estimate. I would say more, but
and so like it's interesting because I guess before we even kind of get into the neighborhoods, let's just talk at a high level the cyclical nature of student rentals. So like I would say I can remember in like 2009 or 2010, I think there was a riot on Thurman. It was a Halloween riot, I think. Okay. Then we had the St. Patrick's Day on 2012. And since then, it's actually been kind of quiet. It feels like we kind of are overdue. Yeah. Because it seemed to, like, until very recently, I would say that it was like probably a 3 to 7 year window and we'd have something go on. And so I don't know, maybe Brodale or Brofdale by Western has kind of taken the mantle of student parties.
I know. I've been dreaming about this for a while on that street. I've been thinking, oh, hopefully something gets out of control and it gets screwed up there, and then I can buy on that street. Actually, that's what I've been thinking. So I know it's wishful thinking, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, at that time, yeah, we could see something, but maybe not over by Fanshawe because it's just so policed so heavily. Like I know on Thurman, if there's ever because trust me, I saw a party last September, and I was like, wow, there are 200 people on the front lawn. So it was pretty intense. But the police come and they're like, all right, everybody, see you later, get out of here. So they are on top of it, and you know, on St. Patrick's Day especially. I didn't go there on Saturday, but that was St. Patrick's Day, and the first Saturday since the last Saturday riot there. So for St. Patrick's Day, and but they're just, you know, cruisers like every 5 minutes going down the street. So. But everybody now just goes downtown, or like you said, to Western, and the party's there, and we'll cross our fingers to what's going to happen there. So. And
so again, before we actually dive into this, I'm curious. So you bought the first one in March of 2012 after the riots?
Well, I didn't buy it in March, but I bought it in July.
Oh, okay.
June. Well, I bought it in June, I guess.
Okay, and did the fact that the prices were being depressed by the riots, like, was that a factor, or were you buying a student rental no matter what at that point, and it was just coincidence?
It was the price. It was the price. Like, I just couldn't believe that a 15-year-old house was on the market for $170,000. Like, that was insane. And so we didn't, we just, like, I just went in there and bought it, boom, because it was a bank sale, and another guy was in the midst of negotiating with the bank. And as soon as he signed it back to the bank, which he was probably trying to get it for 150. Let's be serious. He was probably trying to get it for super cheap.
Yeah.
We just came in there. Like I stood up on a table and looked in the attic and was like, okay, this looks good. Took a quick look around and, we put in an offer right then. So this for full asking because we knew how cheap it was.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of walk you guys through, in case you're not familiar, Fanshawe's in kind of the east side of London. And so Highbury is probably the major street near it. Highbury and Oxford would be the major intersection. And so I thought, Dan, let's actually just draw out where we actually own. So if you want, I'll give you the green marker.
I get the green marker?
And I'll do pink. But
are you going to draw the street or no?
No, I'm just going to draw real high levels. So I got, let's just call it 2 kind of here on Thurman and kind of 1 over here on Fleming. That's kind of...
Okay. So I guess, so
this is just generics.
Yeah, this is Thurman. So we have a couple here, and then we have one across the street from Matt. And then we have one around the corner from Matt, and then we have the first one we ever bought on Fleming, we'll call this Fleming 2, and then we have one here on Fleming, and then we have another one over here on Fleming, and then we have some on Prosperity. So we have this one, and then one on the corner on Prosperity, and then I have one here and then one here. Is that enough X's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so, yeah.
So as you can see, Dan definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to student rentals. And I know a little bit myself, but so I think one thing that's very telling is, like, we see a sort of pattern here, Dan.
Yeah.
So do you want to dive into why it seems like we own so much in this concentrated area, or maybe just break out for people why you own so much, what attracted you to, in particular, there's kind of 4 streets that are part of a new subdivision or newer subdivision. And so those streets, if you guys aren't familiar, are going to be Thurman, Fleming, Prosperity, and Farnsborough. And so, take it away, Dan. What about that area?
Yeah, so, well, again, it was so cheap. It was very strange because there was kind of a interesting play here because these houses were going for so cheap, and yet they were about 15 years old. So over here, these houses in the older areas that are like 60 years old were going for like, I want to say like 30,000, 40,000, maybe more over here than these newer houses that are even closer to the college. So from my perspective, the reason why I did it is just because newer product, higher rents, all the best.
And like the funny thing is, most of these properties over here, they actually have a garage, which as a student rental is great. It's a great garbage room, so a walk-in garbage room as well. Like I would say the bedrooms, most of the bedrooms over here are larger. Yes. And so I'm really attracted to large bedrooms simply because it's a way to differentiate your offerings, right? And a lot of students are very, like they live in their bedrooms now, right? Like having an awesome or sick living room is cool, but so many of them literally want a mini living room in their own bedroom now. And I think that that's where really the demands are.
I agree. And the key for me is I try to get as many female tenants as I can. And female tenants care about bedroom sizes even more than male tenants. So, I would agree with that. All the things you mentioned. And then once we started getting them, it makes sense for proximity and cutting the lawns and I used to cut my lawns.
And there's honestly such a large scale of efficiencies that go on once you start owning more than one student rental.
Sure.
I've talked about a few times on my channel, but I think you're crazy if you only own one student rental because you go through a lot of the same headaches that a student landlord with multiple properties has without any of the benefits. So I think the biggest benefit that I've seen Dan benefit from, and I've benefited on a smaller scale, is when it's time to fill the bedrooms, right? Or when it's time to re-rent out the houses. What's awesome about even just having 3 houses, we advertise all 3 together, and what ends up happening is you get a lot of lazy students or groups of students that they're just going to walk through, say, my 3 houses, or maybe for Dan, his 6 to 11 houses that he's trying to rent out, and they're just going to pick one, right? Like, they're treating it almost just like an a la carte menu where they're going to pick one of your offerings.
Exactly.
And whereas if you're a landlord with just one student rental, first of all, a lot of them aren't going to come out, right? Yeah. And it's a lot harder to batch your showings. And another frustrating thing is student tenants I've found frequently they're more flaky. They're less likely to show up for viewings and stuff. And so by having multiple properties, by being able to show them multiple houses, you can kind of batch a lot of your showings together. And like, I just write off a Saturday, and that's, that Saturday is going to be dedicated to just running people through all these different houses. So I think that's another big tip I just kind of want to share with people, was the idea that I think that this is one of those things where Grant Cardone's maybe a little right, where having a larger scale in the student rental game makes a lot of sense to me versus just having a one-off student rental.
I agree.
And
also the cash flow is the best.
Yes. That's what initially attracted probably both of us, right?
Like the cash flow is way better in student property than I would say any other residential real estate, unless you get a special deal that I haven't known of.
Yeah, I'd agree. So like, unless you're dealing with D-class rooming houses, particularly illegal rooming houses, I don't think you're going to find similar cash flow. And the thing is, despite what we may complain a lot about student tenants, compared to a D-class tenant, they're still fantastic tenants to have.
Yeah.
Realistically, we'll dive into this in another video, but I've never had severe collections issues with student rentals. I've had issues with damages and trying to collect maybe some of the damage reimbursements, but actually, as far as just people, I've never actually had to evict someone from a student rental, go through the full-blown process.
I have.
Have you? With a student?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for another video.
That's right, yeah.
But let's just kind of discuss what you kind of see going on in the future, Dan. So did you buy these near the end? Are you moving into this area from here?
That's exactly right. So we're moving from here because we're done over here because the prices have just gone up so massively. So we don't want to, our returns are going to be pretty low over here now. Unless if you're selling over there and you want to give me a nice deal, no realtor, blah, 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 I'll buy your property. But otherwise, we're buying over in this property, this area. And the thing is about what we did over here is we really didn't have to do that much renovation. So we were just coming in, boom, 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 and, renting them out, paint and flooring and stuff. But over here now, to make money, because the market's risen so much, we have to come in here, we have to make major renovations to make the numbers work.
And so maybe I didn't really think about this in advance, but for the audience, I'm going to do this. So I think when we were buying over here, we were probably buying for 40 to 50,000 a bedroom, would you say? Mm-hmm. And now I'd say that we're probably dealing with in these neighborhoods, 60 to 70,000 a bedroom. Do you think is that fair?
Yeah, maybe even more.
Yeah. So I think 60 to 70. We're over here. You can still kind of find that 50,000 a bedroom, occasionally a little bit less. Does that feel fair, or what do you think?
It can. It's getting up there though. You might have to get an off-market deal to get that.
Yeah, true.
But you can still definitely get that privately.
Yeah. And so I guess let's talk through, Dan. Why have neither of us ever ventured north of Cheapside?
I've looked at it. It's more expensive because it's interesting. The fact that these are student houses is kind of suppressing the pricing, because up here there's some student rentals there, but mostly it's family, right?
Yeah.
So the values are high. Some of the values up here, you look at the house comparatively to these ones, and you're like, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. But that's why I wouldn't. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I've spent a fair bit of time looking at properties up here. So kind of the North Farnsborough or Mark Street and a bunch of those other streets. And I think, I agree with Dan that frequently, if they have been a student rental, they've been a student rental for quite a while, and they've been neglected for a long time. So you're looking at significant renovations compared to when I used to buy properties here that needed renovations. They really just needed drywall and paint at worst. And then a lot of the single families residences there north of Cheapside, they're going to take a fair bit. They either have a basement that's been finished for a family, right? So it's not oriented towards lots of bedrooms and bathrooms. It's more oriented towards a really large rec room with maybe a wet bar or something. And so that's less desirable in my perspective. And I think there is just something too about, if you look, we won't get into the details, but if you look at a map here actually of the streets, it's actually, despite the fact that you might be really close as the crow flies to Fanshawe College, it can actually be a really long walk because we have these large wall barriers to keep traffic noises out and stuff. And so you kind of need to look at the flow of people, right? And so I think a big draw for here as well as here is right here we have Oxbury Mall. And so that's where like a lot of the students are going to go to Food Basics to get their groceries, as well as they've got a couple banks, I think, a bunch of fast food, and just kind of like a little bit of everything as well. Long term, the City of London's going to be putting in a transit hub here. So we're going to be getting the bus rapid transit, and so this is going to become one of the major hubs. And again, I think it's going to be a central focus for any sort of tenant, but particularly student tenants, to be able to walk here, be able to walk to Fanshawe to catch a bus to this hub, because that's going to be kind of that's going to be their main way to get downtown or to the airport, depending on kind of where you're headed. And then finally, I think the other thing to talk about is, I know that there's even student rentals kind of closer to Huron, but the problem is that we're starting to get more and more competitive with what's going on with the student rentals, right? I don't know how long ago. When did they do the R1 building? But like
a couple of years ago.
And so like I remember that was really scary. And so if you're not familiar with what the R1 building was, it was like a massive high rise, or at least a high rise by London standards, that was oriented towards student tenants. And so they were going to be renting out for, correct me, what were they at, like $650 a bedroom?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. And so, you know, each bedroom essentially has its own ensuite bathroom in a lot of these units, and it's very geared towards higher end tenants and higher end students. And so I think that once you get out into these real fringe neighborhoods, so things along Huron, things, you know, kind of south of Dundas, it gets really competitive. Where what I like about where Dan's buying here, or where we're buying over here, our competitive advantage is always going to be the walking distance, right? As well, we got ample parking, so lots of students have multiple vehicles these days. So being able to provide like essentially 4 to 5 parking spaces potentially for your student tenants, I think is huge. Fanshawe definitely, I think, has a higher than average student driving population, or for whatever reason, we seem to always get lots of tenants that we're like groups that have 3 or 4 cars. And that is a big deal breaker. In some of these older neighborhoods, you don't have the big laneways or the big parking pads. So any predictions on where you're going to be buying in the future? Yeah. Is it going to be...
Well, I still like this area here, south of Oxford Street there, between Oxford and 3rd Street. I like to stay, I don't like to go to the 3rd Street. I like either off of 2nd Street or off of 1st Street. But then I would even venture even further towards downtown this way. It's going to be more difficult the further you get away from the college, but still they like to be downtown as well. So anywhere, if you ask me, anywhere along this the Oxford bus route to get to downtown is okay. It's still going to be difficult, or more difficult than it is to be right beside. But some people also want to be away from the student hub, right? So
yeah.
So that's good too. So I like this area over here. There's still reasonably priced houses in there.
For sure.
So I like that.
Because I've definitely noticed there's a large population of international students that seem to live along kind of this Oxford and kind of just south of Oxford. So anywhere I would say between say Quebec Street or where the Superstore is and Highbury, I've definitely noticed that area definitely intensifying with its student population, and particularly it seems to be international students from my experience, and I think it has a lot to do with that bus route. So I don't know if you spent a lot of time looking at it, Dan, but do you think, is it going to change substantially with the way the bus route's going to be working now, right? They're going to have like the BRT is going to go here and then it's going to go down here. Do you think, is that going to impact this stretch here?
Okay, I guess I haven't been paying attention, but if the BRT, that could, so this could be good, and I'm sure Matt would like this as well. It's good for Old East.
Yeah,
right?
so I'm obviously biased.
So you're like, yes.
But right? The BRT will be going through the Old East Village. There's some details they still need to tweak, so whether it's going to be on Queen Street, Dundas Street, or King Street, there's still final details to be sorted out, but it definitely looks like it's going to go here. Eventually, this is going to extend all the way to the airport, and this will go all the way downtown. So this is going to be the link kind of tying Fanshawe's main campus to its downtown campus. So I think that's definitely something to consider as well. Yeah. But that being said, Oxford's still like a major thoroughway in London. So like, it's not like the current bus routes are going to dry up there or anything. So like, it's one of those things where, I don't know, I've been debating for a while on what impact I think this is going to have, and I'm not sure yet.
And I think what you're saying is good too, because This could be also, like you said, for international students too.
Yes, yeah.
They could, stay along this.
Especially,
corridor.
yeah, because like if they're going to want to be linked to, say, our train station, again, this is going to be the natural link to it simply because the BRT is going to map on to the existing infrastructure in London. So, yeah, anyways, that's, I thought we'd just kind of walk through the geography of Fanshawe College with you guys since I had Dan in the house. So, yeah, I guess before we wrap up, Dan, is there anything you want to plug? Like, should people be following Dan Warren Vegan on Instagram?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, or you can follow me Dan Warren on Facebook, that kind of thing. I don't have a YouTube channel yet, but maybe we'll add that as well.
Yeah.
My name's also Dan Warren on YouTube as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more videos like it, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us all to make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys. Bye.